So I've been fighting a lot of resistance making this type of media or content or audio, and I've been reading or listening to the audiobook version of The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, and it's only been the first chapter, and it's been really helpful. And he's only started talking about what resistance is and how it can manifest in your life. And just that alone has really helped, because I've begun to identify it in my own life just by assembling all of the things necessary. I was discouraged in many different ways, from how the video looks to the backdrops to not being good enough, not being good looking enough. And I even see in my hair some thinning and just critiquing my own appearance. And other forms of resistance kind of manifest themselves in my ideas and my thinking. Some of those are doubting my own motives. Is this vain? Is this just vanity? Because who do I think I am that I might have something to say or contribute or post or whatever? What are my motivations? Is this to get some degree of fame or some degree of monetization? And the liar in my head says that that's what I'm after, and that's just not true. Like, I've been wanting to do this just to do it because I love doing this stuff. I've had conversations with my wife, and it's just only affirmed that I just really enjoy creating and making just for those reasons, and those are the only reasons I need to do something like this. And yet resistance lies to me. And I do believe in a God. I do believe in spiritual warfare. I believe in forces that would whisper lies into your ears. But then I also believe in my own soul trying to hijack me and to lie to me. So this is a podcast. This is a video journal, a vlog, what the vlogs I think used to try to attempt to do. And I just want to document who I am. So this is a first episode to introduce the content of what I'm after. And I acknowledge that it's a continually developing thing, and it will change into something else, and that's okay. So who am I? My name is Jacob Thede. I am a lot of things, and I'm learning who I am, and I need to battle and fight against who I lie about who I am. My brain lies to me who I think I am, and that's just not true. So I grew up in Kentucky, in West Kentucky. My dad was career Navy until he made a shift into being a professor at a small state school. My mom majored in restaurant, hotel, hospitality, and management. And she's a great numbers keeper too. She's not an accountant, but I bet she could be a great accountant. And we settled down in a small Western Kentucky town. And I grew up going to a Southern Baptist church and grew up in that faith structure. Had some great teachers, some great theological teachers, And one of the pivots in my life that I tell a lot of people is that when I bridged between high school and college, I had this venturing off from my faith, and I guess nowadays we'd call it deconstructing. I deconstructed my faith. I got out of a really nasty relationship and just cyclical addiction and abuse from myself and from her, and we didn't treat each other well. And I was scarred by that, and scarred by the things that I thought would help me in my faith, in my spirituality. Scarred by things that people in my church held to and said that would work but didn't. And looking back, it was just me being a kid and being young and foolish, but it's a little bit of everything. Wrong on my part and wrong on others' parts. And so I took a year, my sophomore year, of college, and I basically was a leaf in the wind, and I moved wherever the wind took me. And sometimes that was good, and sometimes that was really bad. And after that year, I was kind of in the same place that I was, and in some ways I was worse off. And I was still musicking, I was still creating and identifying as being a musician, and that's kind of, now that I look back, it's that those are two things that have been constant in my life, has been my faith in God, my God being faithful to me, and music, and performing and creating and enjoying music and learning about music. And I can identify points in my life where one was my God and one was not, and I'm still working through that, and I'm still praying through that and talking with God about what role does music continue to have in my life, because it's been so influential and I wouldn't be here without it. It's kind of scary to think that. And I asked God, did you get me here, or was it music? And I think the answer is simply that through music, God put me where I am. So I adhere to a Reformed faith. I'm not Catholic. I am not Orthodox or Eastern Orthodox. So probably the denominations with Presbyterianism, Baptist, Lutheran, I probably relate to those more than any other. And I read and admire a lot of the writings of John Mark Comer, and I enjoy his podcast with Mark Sayer, and those just I resonate with, and I just totally latch onto. So for me, I think where I'm at now, being 28, 29 in a month, I am contending with the role of my spirituality and my music identity. What do those look like? Why am I here? Because of those two things. And I guess I'm trying to attempt to marry them and to ultimately glorify God with my musicking and my creationing and my artisting and all these things. I got married in January 2019 to an amazing, godly woman, and she is a tap dancer, and she's also wrestling with what it means to be an artist, but also be a Christian and to glorify God through her life. And it's been hard and a lot of wrestling, but it's also been really gratifying and just I found a lot of content through wrestling with her about our identities collectively and individually, about what our role with arts and God is. And and if anyone's listening to this and is with me so far, thank you. And I can't believe it. And I hope that wherever your walk is with spirituality and music, that this might help you. And it's just so funny because I think about all the times that I've been in the church and I'm just like, man, I wish that there was someone here that could understand where I'm at and just help me through it. And I think God's just like, work through it through journaling, work through it through talking with me. And in a way, you can be the voice that your past self needed. And you can use that to help others too. Charles Ives had a quote that in his essays before a sonata, and it went something along the lines of the writings are for those who hate the composer's music, and the music is for who hate the composer's writings. And I'm kind of along those same lines. It's like these vlogs are maybe for the people who don't like my music, and my music for the people who don't like my vlogs, and to those who don't like both, well, tough. Yeah, so I'm really happy to be making these things. I'm really happy to finally be recording this and just having a conversation with myself. And I know it might seem egotistical, but I think it's a little bit like therapy. And I was struck by this one creator on YouTube who is controversial, and I was very resistant to, but then gave his content a chance. And at one point he just kind of said, I'm tired of lying and faking, and he is truly someone who has done it all between faking it and creating characters and adhering to the standards of Hollywood and media and the internet. And you can see that it's taken its toll and it's failed. And I'd like to think that maybe media and social media are kind of going through a renaissance where the fakeness is overwhelming and it's not working. And we are becoming more and more attracted to vulnerability and more attracted to authenticity, and becoming more disgusted with just the fake stuff on media. So here's to that. Hopefully this is the good trajectory that we go to, that we become more honest and we become more authentic, and also just more thankful and grateful and excited and hopeful. And I kind of bring up that Charles Ives quote because it's been with me since I was 20, since I've read it. So for about 9-10 years, I've been so drawn to what he's made. And yes, he's kind of a questionable figure and character, but at the very least, I think some of his music is a benefit to society, and some of his words are a benefit to society. And I think we shouldn't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think that's very unwise. And it's inspired me, and it's there's life. It's just inspired me to fight that resistance and to fight the discouragement. And and so I'm doing this now so that I don't forget my memories when I am 50 and 60 and I'm entering my middle ages, and and my memory is just not what it used to be, and I can document it now. And so if anything, all of this stuff is for myself, but I hope it's beneficial and fun and encouraging to whoever's listening and watching now. I've always just admired the vlogging format, and I think these long form videos, we're able to do them now. I think it's just incredible looking back in 2007 and 2008 when Vlogbrothers 2.0 came out, and the only capacity they could have was making these 3-minute videos, because we didn't have 5 terabyte solid state drives, and we didn't have incredible video editing software where we can edit a video what would have taken back 10 years ago about hours, or about 5 hours, and now it takes 5 minutes, takes 30 minutes. If you really know what you're doing, it doesn't take long to make this stuff. And so now we can do long form content and talk about ourselves and reflect on ourselves and reflect on our lives. So I want to do this now so that when I'm middle-aged, future Jake can be grateful and cringe maybe a little bit, but also just reflect on what a beautiful life he was given, and just be grateful and give that to others and instill hope. Because another reason that I want to make these is just to fight that nihilism and criticism that everything is pointless, that everything there's no point in doing it, and also fighting the criticism of myself and others that, like, yeah, this might not be the best quality content, and yeah, it's not very entertaining, but let's challenge what we find meaningful and entertaining, because we're just so filled with dopamine inducers, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but all the colors, all the flash of Instagram and scrolling and doom scrolling and all the stuff like that. Let's just fight what it means to be entertained and to find meaning and contribute meaningfully too. I disabled my Facebook. I want to say that I deleted it, but I didn't really delete it. I still have all that data and all those connections and those friendships. But I disabled it, so I'm pretty sure you can't find my profile at the moment. And I also disabled my Instagram, and I totally deleted my Twitter account and my other account that I just kind of follow another few people. And it feels really good. It's really hard. There's some withdrawals from it, but I think this was the best move that I've made in a long time. And so I'm just kind of sticking to, I guess, the creating websites, so that I think for myself, it depends on person to person, but it was a really good move. And it was a really good move for myself because I just need to really create. I don't really need to absorb from others from social media. I don't need to read status updates, and I don't need to read or watch videos on Facebook or watch videos on Twitter or Instagram. And TikTok too. I've deleted my TikTok. It's just not for me, and that's okay. And I can not fully acknowledge that for others, that they've been a huge blessing and good. But for me, they just weren't contributing anything. And I got hacked multiple times. I looked at the Get Pwned website, and I just didn't like the idea that that my email address was being leaked so much and being so vulnerable. And I've noticed that there have been multiple attempts to log into different accounts and security issues, and I've had to change my Facebook password a lot. I've had to change my email passwords a lot of account passwords. So it was just time to delete my Facebook. So another reason I want to make these videos or this long form audio podcast is to find beauty in the mundane again. And I listened to this really great podcast for those of you who have weird feelings about crypto. I'm with you. But there was one podcast that talked about the crypto renaissance and talking about monetary policy in the Renaissance, and how the Reformation brought in more than just a freedom from the Catholic Church and paying penitence, or I don't know what the correct term is, but basically paying the church for being forgiven your sins. And there was much more freedom that was given from the Reformation, and it was a financial one. It was, we don't have to confine ourselves to monasteries to glorify God. We can work to glorify God again. We can do simple things. And so, the idea that, you paint fruit now, you paint hands, you paint the common things, and there is beauty in them, and God finds them beautiful, is just such a incredible thing to me that I think we've lost in the digital age, that everything is so manufactured and so manicured and so done over and over that it looks perfectly beautiful. I think there's some value in it, and I'm not going to degrade it. I think there's some goodness in it, but I think people like myself are just so overwhelmed by the perfection of it all that it discourages us to make beautiful things. And so I'm also finding that to just share the mundane things and to document them and process them. And so it's like I can see the two ends. It's like making vlogs can be so bad for you and so money seeking and so, fame seeking. But then on the other hand, it can just be so therapeutic because you're processing your thoughts and your ideas and your past, and you figure out who you are more because of it. And because of that, you have security in yourself. And because you know who you are, you're not questioning your moves and your motives, and you're not questioning everything. You're not doubting yourself. And that's allowing you the freedom to act and to give back to people and to bless people. And so I think that's where I'm at right now with this stuff. Cheers. I think that I've really found a lot of value in storytelling and sharing our stories. That we used to do that over campfires and used to do that over community gatherings. And in a sense, that's just changed. That's just developed into something else. But I think we've also lost a little bit of that we get to share our stories around a campfire. And so, I guess this is my version of sharing my story around this campfire. Another, a fourth reason I'm doing this, and finally just doing it, is that it helps me fight my cynicism and envy of others. I noticed that when I was on Facebook that I just got really resentful and envious of my own friends' successes, and I didn't like who I was becoming because of that. I was just becoming a really envious and jealous and mean person because of it, and that's just not good. I should share my friends' successes. I should just glorify them and get excited for them and lift them up and not tear them down. And that's what I was doing with my thoughts, and I didn't like that. So it's another one of the many reasons I disabled my Facebook account, because if it was just making me hateful and resentful and envious, that was a problem with me. And I needed to take that action to just take down my Facebook and stop seeing those things and start actually doing what I want to do and fight that resentment and fight that envy by sharing my friends' stories instead of hiding them or doubting them or thinking mean thoughts towards them. Good Lord, it was just bad. It was just mean, and I didn't like who I was becoming because of social media. So I'm hoping ultimately, because of all those reasons, I can create something meaningful on the content purely creating side of things. So on YouTube, on the podcast sharing platforms like Anchor and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I can be someone who I want to be, someone that God's made me to become, and to share my friends' amazing stories and what God is doing through them that others can enjoy what they make and what they do and be blessed because of it, and we create a better world. And it's just so, it's hard sometimes, and I'm sure you're thinking, I don't know, this is what I'm thinking when I'm saying this, is that it's like, how are we actually creating any good by simply making good stuff, intangible stuff, and sharing that, and reveling in others' successes, and getting excited about other people's successes? Like, how is that actually benefiting society? And I think I'm still processing through it, and there's so many reasons why. But maybe it does something in us psychologically that it stops us from the depressive thoughts, it stops us from the nihilistic thoughts, the thoughts that lead us to darkness and to evil. It stops those thoughts of taking our own lives. It stops those thoughts of taking others' lives, and it gives us motivation to contribute in a meaningful way. That what it does is that the good that it really does is it psychologically changes us and makes us better in our productivity, by healing other people from their sickness, by healing them from their mental illnesses, by making things easier for their lives in their homes, and staying clean, and making great food, and making healthy food. And I think in a post-capitalistic society, there's a buzzword, we get so bogged down by the consume, and it's why you have so many factions of different people, that we forget that there can be some good from living a life and a lifestyle of making it purely and simply a goal to make great stuff, to bless others, to change others, to continue to bring. And then from a Christian standpoint, I don't know if you're a Christian, if you're listening to this, but from a Christian standpoint, it's simply bringing heaven on earth as it is in heaven. That Lord's Prayer that Jesus prayed, it's heaven kissing earth, and that glorifies God ultimately, and takes our eyes off ourselves, takes our, I think it can minimize our suffering. Though, if you're theologically sound, you could argue that through suffering we're brought closer to God and enjoy life more. So again, forgive me, I'm just processing thoughts, I'm vlogging, I'm journaling, and so I think there's some good from this, and it's intangible, and it's hard to put down, and it's hard to put words to, because words do fail, and it's so easy to be data driven. And I think one of the ideas I had to title this podcast is From PhD to Amazon. And I've had a lot of time to really reflect on where life has taken me, where God has taken me. And so not even a year ago, I was completing my PhD in music composition, and I was on the top of the world. I was writing a really fun dissertation. I was proud of how it looked and how it sounded and how it read. I was accepting conferences. I was going to present at my first international conference, and then I was really humbled. I started work at a warehouse, and it was probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. I got to meet people in different walks of life, and got to hear their stories, and got to hopefully uplift them in whatever way and encourage them in whatever way to keep pressing on. Met a gal who immigrated from England to the United States, and and I kind of knew that because she talked about university as uni, and no one around here calls university uni. I mean, maybe some, but she wants to be an accountant, but she's currently at Amazon. She's raising her kids and working together, I assume, with her husband. And she's still pressing on through university, and she wants to do numbers. She loves finance. She loves numbers, and that was just so awesome to hear her story. And then there was another guy like me, and he's become one of my closest friends at work, and he's at Amazon because he majored in management, and he was at Six Flags before, but then COVID hit and he was out of a job, and so he started working at Amazon, and it's been awesome to get to know him and to befriend him. He let me tag along to his poker night club. They're on Telegram, and we've been messaging, and they're just the most wholesome group of guys. So I've been really blessed by people at work. And to those wondering what it's like to work at an Amazon warehouse, I get asked all the time, is it just as bad as people say it is, or is it like better? And I say it's good and bad. It's better and worse than people say, and I think let's do the bad news first. So my critiques of Amazon warehouse work is that they really are as bad, numbers driven as you hear about it. No matter what role you're in, it's numbers based, it's time based. Every single second of your day is logged, and there are hundreds of thousands of Amazon workers working every day, and there's hundreds of thousands of workers' seconds being logged, and it's just amazing. It's quite a feat. It's pretty incredible, and it's pretty efficient, and they're successful because of it. So I can't dog it too much, but yeah, I've been there for a year, and just yesterday, I had a worker come to me, and he said, "Hey, your units per hour was below 300. It was 280." And he's like walking me through. He's like, "Well, do you know the rules? Do you know what you're supposed to do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been here for a year. I have picked 5,000 units in a day. I've had some really good days here." Yet he doesn't know that. Why doesn't he know that? If he's coming to my station to rebuke me in a way or to correct me, why is the only thing that he knows about is my numbers? Why doesn't he know my history? Why doesn't he know how well I've done in the past as well? Amazon is really lacking in that. They could do a lot of good because of it. They could, not waste my time or his time, because why did I have 280 units that day before? Well, because there are a lot of reasons, but pod gaps were long. Was there any, is there any consideration on the people who correct the Amazon workers? Is there any consideration of the failings on the network's fault, on the driver's fault? And there were huge pod gaps. I couldn't pick like I could, and there was also issues with my RSOL machine. There's always issues with the RSOL machines, and that always drops us down below 400. And it's on the good days where you have no pod gaps when the network's working, and you have no issues with your RSOL conveyor belt. You pick 400, and you clock in and you do your job. And so I think that's lacking at Amazon warehouses, is that it just seems incompetent sometimes. The higher ups just seem incompetent. They come by and they judge your numbers. They don't judge your past and your history and how well you've done in the past, and they don't consider also the many variables of why your tack time is down, why your units per hour are down. And it's just really illuminated that for me, going from a PhD white collar job to a blue collar job where I'm judged based on my metrics. Whew, it's hard. It's hard work, and it's good work, and it blesses a lot of people, and people have many issues with Amazon, but and I do too, obviously, but I was able to see the dentist for the first time forever for free because of my dental insurance. I was able to see a physician for low cost because of the insurance. So there's some good things coming out of it. So going into the benefits of Amazon is that it's great for people who need work. It's great for people who need the income. It's great for people who need the insurance. And aside from that little blip with the random corrector, I'm going to call him, I have great managing staff. I have great managers. I have great higher ups that do come by and they do see my work, and they do, they don't bug me about the small stuff. They don't bug me about the numbers. They bug me about how can we make this work better. So it's been really good to work with my hands. It's been really good to hear other people's stories, because I do come from a privileged background. And it's great to hear their perspective on work. It's great to hear their perspective on life, because I'm meeting all sorts of people from walks of life in Irving, and all these people that are of different color than me, who grew up in different countries than me. Holy crap, there's just so much to learn. And I've really experienced what JBP has said, that one of his quotes is that people are just endlessly interesting, and that is so true. You step foot in an Amazon warehouse and you will never meet more interesting people in your life. Same can be said about a PhD, but it's really interesting because a lot of people who get into grad school, their stories are similar. It's like, yeah, I studied this and I applied to grad school, I got in, and some of it's paid for, and this is what I'm studying. And you'll find that what is endlessly interesting about graduate students is what they're interested in studying and how much of an expert they are in. And being at Amazon, it's like, I think mostly it's because I'm coming from a different world. That's why I find what they do, who they are, and where do they come from, and everything about them endlessly interesting. But there's this sort of transparency when you're working at an entry-level job, that you got everything to gain and nothing to lose. And so you can use that to your advantage by developing these really great relationships with your workers and your coworkers. So I started this with who am I, and I kind of talked about my spirituality. I kind of talked about where I've come from and my musicking and all these things. I found that as I've entered my late 20s, I find the value of family so important that it's just become so apparent to me in a way that I didn't see before, why we do family and why we do what we do. And I've had to fight the nihilism of the pointlessness of it all. It's like, why would I bring in a kid to this world? And it's really revealed my selfishness. It's like, why do I want that responsibility? And I found how lazy I really am. And I think that's another part of my resistance in creating these video journalings, that what's the point in it all? Like, why do I do this? So I found that I'm really selfish. I find that I don't want to have kids because it's hard work. And that's what it was. The resistance of doing this is that it's hard work. It's like, why would I put in all that time and effort to get so little back? And it's like, no, it's part of that saying that, your destination isn't the goal, the journey is the goal, and the destination is just the end of it. And so enjoying the ride and enjoying the journey, and along the work you find meaning, and along the work you're blessed, and along the work you find value, and you create that value for yourself, and you'll have it forever. So my wife's desires to have a family have really revealed my heart, and have really revealed my selfishness. And for those who are listening who are resistant to family and to having kids, whatever your prerogative is your prerogative, but I would also challenge you, what are ways that you're being selfish in this? Because we're humans, and we're inevitably going to be selfish about our lives and what we want and what we desire. So I've really found in my late 20s that wanting a family is a hard proposition, but man, it's an exciting one, and it's hopeful, and it's filled with these new dreams that you have. And so being a musician is really conflicted with that, because my whole life, you kind of fall into this, whether it's good or bad, this natural idea that being a musician means this or that. And for me, being a musician meant having a good following. That was the measure of your success of being a good musician, is that more and more people like your music. And it's like, that could be nothing further from the truth. And I just need to fight that resistance to think that what I do is a blessing to my small network of people, whether it's my 3 people, whether it's my 12 people, or whether it's 100 or 200 or a clan or a village or a town or a city or a county, that who you are matters. What you do counts, and it helps society, and it blesses society. And so I've enjoyed being creative. I've enjoyed being a musician, and I've had to fight that false idea of success being, oh, you need a bunch of followers, you need a bunch of likes, you need a lot of money, you need to make a lot of money from this. That's the measure of success from this. And it's like, well, here I am. I have a PhD. I work at Amazon, and none of those things are true. And that's good, and that's right, because you help people in ways that you never see, and you honor people in ways that you could never know, and you bless people with the little things you do every day. And so I enjoy running a lot. Changing the subject. I enjoy running. I enjoy going long distances and pushing myself in that way. And I think that's the part of myself that leaks into my interests and who I am as a person, that I like music and I like running, I like being creative, I like exploring finance, I like exploring philosophy, I like exploring relationships, because all those things I can compete with myself. And I've never been one to compete with others, but I love the idea of competing with yourself, that you can be better than who you were yesterday. And that's actually a rule by JBP, is that stop comparing yourselves with others and only compare yourself with who you were in the past. And that idea, those ideas have brought me further in life than the latter or the former. By comparing myself with who I was in the past, by competing with myself and trying to improve myself from who I was in the past, has improved my life more than comparing myself to others and comparing myself to their success. And that's another reason why I disabled my Facebook and deleted my Facebook, deleted my Instagram, deleted my Twitter. It's like I found myself comparing myself with other people all the time, and I'm gonna have to fight that with YouTube and fight that resistance with likes and subscribes and content and stuff. But the thing with YouTube is that I've made lots of videos that people will never watch. So what's one more? Creating beautiful, simple, boring things. I love it. I love doing that stuff. It matters to me. It matters to me a lot. So, going forward with this vlog podcast idea, I've got about 10 videos reflecting on 10 years of my life, starting in 2011, going through all the way to 2020. And in each video, I'm going to do my best to recall memories and recall pieces of music that I've written, and how they may or may have not glorified God and my spirituality, how they may or may have not developed who I am now, and I just want to share that story, share those stories. And today was kind of an introductory one. I have a lot more to say, I guess, but this will definitely do. So, if you made it this far, let me know who you are by sending me a private email or sending me a message, or just liking and commenting on whatever platform that you're listening or watching this through. I'm incredibly thankful for you. For listening to this. I hope it was somewhat entertaining to listen to. If not, I hope it was helpful or a blessing to you, and not the opposite. So, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great next few days of your life, and let me know if there's anything I can do to bless you, to share hope with you, and to help this earth glorify God and make heaven kiss earth.